Good morning. It is 6:20 in the morning. And we can see we got some remnants of some trails in the sky. But I'm going to be honest, it's quite hazy. You can see it's quite hazy back there. But yeah, we do have the persistent trails. Remember I said a couple of days ago, once the sun rises, the trails will get thicker. No, that's wrong, isn't it? So we'll see what happens for the rest of the day. So I'll pop back again for an hour and find out what happens, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, check this out. And that immediate area over there, it's very traily, isn't it? Yeah. It's quite traily this morning. I wonder if it's going to be one of those days where the trails will persist throughout the morning and throughout the day and all the way into the evening. So whether or not it's going to block out the sun just for today, who knows? Keep the eyes to the skies.
Oh, the trails are very heavy this morning. Here's a video of me popping down to Tesco's getting a pint of milk, mate, down in the main part of the city, and I can see there is a massive amount of trails. You can see here, and it is following that direction. So this is going to be very interesting, because I've noticed when it's trails like this persistent in this time of the morning, normally, from my experience, this will continue for the rest of the day. I might be wrong. On that one. But we're going to see and find out. For instance, the mainstream media say, well, you've got a pocket of moisture in that immediate area, therefore the trails are persisting. Well, I don't see any existing cirrus clouds or altostratus. I was even over the city and I didn't see any existing clouds. Just trails. It's a blue sky. It's actually quite nice. But obviously we've got the trails that are very rampant this morning. Yes, contrails do persist, but nothing like in my books, in my vintage books. I understand there's more aircraft in the sky now, but for instance, this photograph from the 1960s is one that kind of looks like it. So yeah, we'll pop back in a short time because they get quite rampant. Excuse me, in this time of the morning. Well, it's getting quite misty, white hazy over there. Shall we see what the dickhead BBC says? According to the BBC, today will be plenty of sunshine and dry conditions throughout. There will just be the occasional band of high cloud at times. Bit of time has passed. And I'm going to concentrate on this area because on my previous video I was talking about the distinction between cirrus and cirrus stratus and chemtrails being spread out, or trails being spread out. When I say trails, I mean it's trails like this, persistent trails. But the idea is I just want to show you, I mean it's quite easy to distinguish what a spread out trail actually looks like. This is only the beginning of it, look, you can kind of see. So within an hour that will spread out, but you can see the line. You can see there will be very distinct lines and patterns, unlike this cirrus stratus, which tends to, and the cirrus as well, which mixture together looks like it does look like chemtrails. But the idea is you can see the lines being distinguished, and that will more or less persist. And again, you've got one there as well, right in the middle. So it is a combination of trails in one go. I mean, here's a proper example. Right back here. So you can see it's starting to blend in together. So let's get a picture of the cirrus stratus, which is an actually formed cloud. So this 1944, go with that, 50 odd years before chemtrails even existed. And let's have a little look to see whether or not that looks like this. It kind of does. So it's just the point I'm trying to get. I think people are really getting confused of what they're actually seeing. So this would be a great day, a perfect day in fact, to find out whether or not the trails are persist and what they look like, and if there's any distinguished other clouds in its wake. So I can't wait. It's going to be very exciting. I love days like this. And don't get paranoid, for Christ's sake. Don't get angry. Don't be a Debbie Downer. It's a very still morning. The trails are barely moving. Yeah, they're more or less just sitting there. So this is the most trails I have seen in quite a while. Well, when I say quite a while, it must have been like near the beginning of the year, my last chemtrail video I did. I don't know if you can see the distinguished line between blue and you've got the haze here. With time-lapse camera, I shall pick that up and see whether or not it's anything distinguished of what a chemtrail spread out is. And trying to find out whether or not it's actually chemtrail related. I mean, it might have been doing it way at night, and this is just, 4 hours previous of what it was sprayed before, and eventually it's just worked its way here. But again, it's a very still morning, nothing is moving. I mean, nothing. So this line here, I'm going to see whether or not it's stayed in that position or it's worked its way up. Again, very trailing morning. And also, the question is it going to block out the sun? Because the amount of trails we see in the sky technically should spread out. Whether it has any impact on temperature, we shall find out. This is the birds all going crazy. Oh, let's see this plane here. Wait for it, there we go. I'm back. It's just gone past 20 past 7 in the morning and the trails are still here. Let's just do a 360 pan view so you can see so far what it's like. So again, we still have that there. I'll be interested to see whether or not it's actually moved. I can see, if I turn the camera around, hold on. Right, let's focus on these trails. See what I mean when it's starting to spread out? I mean, bear in mind it is a very still morning and the trails are just about to pick up speed. I can see that, yeah. But the trails wasn't moving from what I can observe anyway. Time-lapse camera may say a different thing. But you can see what I mean by a spread out chemtrail. You can still see the remnants of at least some sort of distinguished line. See what I mean? But I have to admit, this is the most trails I've seen in a number of months. 100%. And you can tell in the morning, around about 6 o'clock, you can see the trails are very persistent in the sky. And that's when you know it's more or less going to be, I know it's like 50-50, isn't it? We'll see what happens today. But I have seen this before. I'm back. It's just gone, you're 20 to 8 in the morning. And we still have the trails left over. Starting to get that white cirrus starting to form. I mean, bear in mind, this is from my research anyway, because we have so many trails in the sky in one moment, I want to see what it looks like when it's spread out, and whether or not we can actually distinguish that between a cirrus or cirrus stratus. And at the moment, it's a tricky one, because that I would have thought, like I just said, I point at the camera up and said, well, that looks like cirrus. But bear in mind, we have in that area here, we do have trails. Again, like I said, you will have cirrus in that wake of trails, because according to the science, that's where humidity or moisture is in that specific area. But that's definitely a trail, 100%. But you can see it's still distinguished. It's a trail. Remember, I was talking about cirrus, which is the naturally formed cloud that looks like hooks or whispers. And this is pretty much it. So, like I mentioned, you will get trails in the sky, and then in that immediate area or around the surrounding area, you'll get cirrus, because it's in the same altitude as the trails being persisted. So I'd be interested to see what this does. In fact, I might going to turn the time-lapse camera around. Also, these are starting to blend into each other, but we're still getting trails being formed. I'm going to try and capture some this morning. It's supposed to be nice this week. Quite nippy in the morning, but it's actually been quite nice. Yeah, all this, yeah, that is all trails. And in fact, where I was this morning when I got my pint of milk, all those trails there are working its way up here. I can see the trails are going this way. So where I was this morning was over just down the road. So yeah, it's all making its way up here. All the trails that I did see are all starting to blend into one. It's still very slow, very still morning. Bang on 9 o'clock. As promised, I'll pop out every half an hour to an hour and do analysis of the skies. So again, the trails are still persisting, and this white haze is to do with the trails. It's going to be very interesting to see what the time-lapse camera actually does. I hadn't observed it, but I will pull it on the screen for you now so you can have a look. Yeah, so this is widespread across the UK, as you've seen from the satellite. But whether or not it's going to block out the sun or make any difference to the temperature, we shall find out. Because I think these trails are going to persist for the rest of the day. I might be wrong. He's back. Our mate is back. See, Bib, he does not go anywhere. Innit, Bib? Smashed himself into the window. He's like, mate, chemtrails are out. I'm like, yeah, totally, bruv. And we had a smoke. We 420'd and yeah, engaged in conversations about chemtrails. But here we go. It's one of those. Hold on, wait for the motorbike to go. But it's one of those unique days where it's extremely hazy with trails and it's all blending into one. But I cannot see any sign of altostratus, or cirrus clouds in its wake. But again, here we have. See that, Bib? It's a little bastard. There we go. Right, we'll pop back in half an hour. Let's see what it does. I'm still checking the satellite. And you can see it's starting to get clear. Oh look, we've got some cumulus. First sign of it this morning. So that means it might get cloudy with this other cloud. Who knows? I'm not a scientist. But it's still very misty. It's still very misty. And that area over there is very trailing. As it's been 3 hours since it went from this to this. And I've got to say to myself, okay, this morning, let's just make a little conclusion. So this morning, as I'm in my garden, you can see the small trails. Here are the trails this morning. And as I went to Tesco's down the road, you saw this load of trails. So these trails went over here, over my direction. And there was a lot of them. Obviously, I've been speaking to my mum, who lives in that area, and she was saying, yeah, it's extremely traily. So everything you're seeing now, from my assessment, there's no natural cirrus. Well, there was one or two, but the big sheen we see in the sky, I think that's all down to trails. That is just my assessment. I might be wrong. What an interesting morning so far. I can't wait to see what happens in the next few hours, whether or not it gets clear. And then I'll be like, hold on a minute, well, what was all that earlier? Because all these trails are going into the ocean. And we've got some cumulus. But still, the high altitude artificial cloud, I should say, is very, very, it's moving at a very slow pace. I'm quite surprised, due to the amount of trails, we didn't get a sun halo. It kind of made one earlier. So there we go. But you never know, it might change. Right, I'll catch you soon. Let's start from this time here. As we're focusing on the southwest, which is the bottom part. Okay, let's click that and zoom in. So here we have a lot of trails. Yes, you can see it's going up to Southampton. Yeah, we're in my area here. You can see the trails. Very persistent, but are they actually spreading out? And this is only going up to 820. So you can see here all the trails. And it looks like you've got a lot of high cloud cover coming in. It's 8:30. And look at it now. It's turning into that blanket. With these trails, as you can see, it's very lumpy, isn't it? It's very contextualized. And you can see here, it's doing more or less the same thing. It's going a little bit billowy or harpy, whatever you want to call it. But all in all, it is starting to spread out, which is perfect because I'm breathing in all the nanoparticles. I saw a video the other day of some bloody idiot on Rumble saying, and it was proof that there is COVID vaccinations and chemtrails. And the only proof was a AI generated voice with, you can't see anybody, it was just an AI generated voice saying, it was this pilot, this whistleblower. It's not a bloody whistleblower because the thing didn't exist. But yeah, you can clearly see it was an AI generated voice saying that, it's basically regurgitating what we already know about chemtrails. It didn't sound like a pilot, again, because it was an AI generated voice, and clearly the person who put it together is just a fear-mongering asshole. I can't stand videos like that unless you have the receipts and actual documentation to prove there is COVID vaccinations and chemtrails. Shut your fucking mouth. Because people like you who push disinformation, and that's disinformation, just like it's safe and effective, yes, it works both ways, you're doing nothing good for this community. Nothing. Where's the receipts? Where's the proof? Where's your evidence? It's like, clearly this is the AI generated voice. It sounded extremely robotic. I'm not buying this crap anymore. Oh, look at that. That's a different plane I've never seen before. Looks like a dildo, doesn't it? That looks like a long dong, mate. What is that? I have never seen an aircraft like that. Dodo. Oh, look, it didn't do anything. Look. It didn't really do anything. I think it's probably a bit too low. Looks too low. 360 view of the sky. Look at that. It is very traily. Breathing in that nanoparticles. Lovely, lovely. What if I'll stick to things? Anyways, my cat. Say hello, darling. Want to say hello to people? Fortunately, Lucifer doesn't believe in chemtrails. Do you believe in chemtrails, darling? Hey? Welcome back. It's 9:30. I don't know if you can see this. Because we have so many trails that are persistent and, of course, spreading out like this white sheen here. What solar radiation management is actually doing is actually creating an artificial alto stratus cloud. You can just about see there is an outline of a halo. And of course, stratospheric aerosol injection, which is sprayed above 15,000 feet or 20,000 feet. And that is where you will find halos forming, which can form naturally, but also solar radiation management will do that. And also, is it going to dim the temperature? Only time will tell. The southwest of England is getting bombarded with trails. I'll report back in half an hour. 30 minutes, as one would say, down the southwest. Now the sun is just popping above those trees. We should feel the sunrise. Welcome back. Once again, we have the satellite feed. Let's have a look. So the trails will go in southwest direction. Let's check and let's zoom in on whether or not we can actually see any more visible trails left over. So we're going up to 10:30. It's all looking pretty decent at the moment. So there we go. Let's pop our head out and have a look. See what the weather's like. So what do we have in the sky this lunchtime? We've got the remnants of cirrus. These are whispers. We have some cumulus. It's a mixed bag. It's not misty like it was earlier this morning. Hence, I just showed you the satellite feed, and you can clearly see that. in conclusion so far, as we are 12:15, did those trails with the white sheen block out the sun? Even this white sheen now, has it blocked out the sun? And the answer to that is no, it hasn't. So this video, in one respect, is to kind of show you what people assume is going to happen. I mean, well, I was assuming that the trails will persist through the remainder of the day, because it hasn't made any difference to the temperature. And this is it. This is the thing with chemtrails. It's the first thing you should say to yourself: is it blocking out the sun? And like I said earlier, this for me doesn't really look like trails spread out. These look like cirrus clouds to me. And you can see on the satellite feed all those trails are dissipated. They're already gone down southwest direction. That sun is really nice. So what was that about earlier then? For the trails were supposed to manipulate the weather. But it didn't, did it? We just had a very traily morning, but it turned out to be quite nice. So we'll see what happens closer to the evening. It might go traily again, you know. So there we are, good so far. There we go. I am back. It is 10 to 2. Let's scroll and have a look at the sky. Might see me. Hello. So we have this. Looks like cirrus. And we have some trails left over here, as you can see. Not blocking out the sun though. But Bib's back. He's like, mate, you got fucking chemtrails above your head. Alright, let's go feed Bib. Catch you in an hour. As we're coming up to 3:30, look at it. Clear blue sky. It's absolutely fantastic. Brilliant. So all those chemtrails didn't do a sodden difference, did it? Really, when you look at it, think about it. It didn't really do anything. Might get some trails soon, I don't know. Who knows? I'll keep my eyes to the skies though. Right, report back in a bit. It's 3:30 and let's look at the sky. Look at it. There's a few trails. It's gone very dense again. Very dense. For instance, right here. There we go. So what was it all about earlier then? With all the chemtrail believers on chemtrail Facebook page. All agreeing, oh, they're blocking out the sun. There's the sun. Where's the trails? Do you see what I mean? This is the point I'm trying to make. You saw trails in the morning, it was really bad, and I know for a fact, give it like a few hours, yeah, okay, you might get 1 or 2 trails in the sky, but it was nothing like this morning, and it was like that for the remainder of the day. Just small little trails, and you've seen on the satellite feed I showed you. It dissipates and it actually turns out to be a nice day. So all the people that were getting pissed off and angry to the fact that their sun was blocked out for them, it turned out to be a nice day, didn't it? The whole point of this video, as I mentioned a couple of times in the duration, is that I just wanted to prove a point that not every day you see a trail or mass amounts of trails, it's not sometimes going to persist throughout the whole day. It may go clear. It is such a mixed bag, and through the couple of years of me doing analysis of the sky and really looking at trails and see what they actually do, I'm just asking the simplest questions, like for instance, how many trails persist throughout the day? Do the trails persist throughout the day? How long do they persist for? And does it make any impact on surface to ground temperature? And does it block out the sun? So it's not me being a skeptic, I'm just applying just the simplest questions that, like, fortunately the chemtrail community just don't ask. And looking through my vintage books, I can see that these trails can persist, and it does mention it in this 1963 book. and the fact that these trails can last for several hours. Whether or not they actually spread out, like some of them do these days, and this is all about speculation, isn't it? But I can't just go down the avenue as seeing just a couple of trails in the sky and saying it's going to block out the sun, because in some cases, in fact most cases, it doesn't. I like to research on both avenues and really make a full conclusion instead of just listening to what other people are saying and then just... I mean, a lot of people in the chemtrail community are just regurgitating what chemtrails are about. And I'm not denying that people like debunking and there's been other people that's done analysis and found out there's been mass amounts of barium, even high levels of barium and aluminium. I'm definitely not ruling that out. But to say that contrails don't persist is simply not true. And this is through my research. And again, this is not me being a skeptic. I mean, I'm not here to please anyone. I'm not above or below anyone. I just make my own decision by the research that I have done. I'm just presenting it to you. I'm not really picking sides here. Do I believe in contrails? Yes, I do. Do they persist? Yes. But do chemtrails exist? Absolutely. And through the videos I'm going to show you, which dates back to the beginning of, well, I say beginning of the spring to where we are now in early autumn, you can see the amount of trails in the sky, and I do a full analysis of that and just applying the basic questions. You know, is these trails in the sky going to block out the sun? Because there are days where it's really traily, really bad. You haven't seen it yet. So that is all to come. So I hope this is a bit educational. I'm not here to swindle people's opinions. I've just done a bit of research, found out that, look, this really doesn't make sense what the chemtrail community is saying. But make it for what you will, and I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm just going to say this now. If you are getting really paranoid and you don't like going outside because you see a bunch of trails in the sky, don't be. Trust me, life's too short. We're all eating a shit sandwich out here, and the best thing to do is just live life to the full, because there are, how many people on this planet? 12 billion people on a planet, and you're just one. I mean, for instance, my nan, she's 88 years old, you know, clean bill of health, absolutely nothing wrong with her. So those nanoparticles hasn't really affected her, has it? Just saying, no, everyone's different, but for me, just to make sudden conclusions saying, oh no, that's what it is, because people are just saying it on the internet or on the chemtrail Facebook page. And one other thing that I tend to think about a lot when it comes to the metals that are in these trails, barium, aluminium, strontium, sulfur oxide, graphite, I heard COVID vaccination, I mean, Jesus Christ, nanoparticles. If you just think this for a second, you think the levels of atmospheres we got. I'm going to grab a book out. Okay, I'm going to grab my book out, I'm going to show you. I've got this book here from 1989, and in this page, in fact, I just put a picture on here. So as you can see, we have the troposphere, the stratosphere, and the mesosphere. And obviously the thermosphere and the astrosphere is planes don't fly in that altitude. So we really are looking at the stratosphere and troposphere, really. So in regards of cloud seeding, we're talking about the cumulus clouds, which are right below the stratosphere, which is technically the troposphere when you look at it. And in the stratosphere, well, the base level between the stratosphere and the troposphere, so as you can see here, you're going to have the jet stream. You're going to have these turbulence. I mean, for instance, aircraft fly in the stratosphere because there is less turbulence. For instance, if an aircraft is flying above a few hundred feet above the jet stream, you're going to get a nice steady turbulence, which is most long distance travel aircraft will do that. But as soon as you go a bit lower, you're going to hit the turbulence, which is part of the jet stream. I mean, people say, oh, the flight was a lot quicker today. Yeah, because the jet stream was following that direction, and then the plane was literally following it. So it was literally propelling the plane faster. And I keep always hearing these stories from pilots and people who's been on planes and go, yeah, our plane was really quick today. It's because you hit the turbulence. Now, if we just take that idea that got the stratosphere and the troposphere, and in the base level between those two, you got the jet stream. So if the trails are spraying in the stratosphere, the particles are going to sink down, right, and it's going to hit that jet stream. So what I keep on hearing from chemtrail believers is that the chemtrails being sprayed above 25,000 feet where the plane is actually spraying the aerosol is going to drop all the way down, to sink all the way down onto the public. It's not. It's going to hit the jet stream. And this jet stream is going all over the place, baby. It's going to go for hundreds, even like thousands of miles. And you can see this through the satellite. You can see where the jet stream is going. So the concepts of nanoparticles or whatever materials are in these trails ain't going to sink down, is it? 25,000 feet, it's not going to go all rain all the way down. It's going to blow it everywhere in each direction. Take the scenario, the clean air zone that we have implemented in our city. It doesn't matter for me paying £10 for me to go into the clean air zone because it makes the climate or a clean air. It doesn't. Pollution blows all over the place because of the wind. It's not going to stay in the city. It's going to blow all the way across the city. It's going to go in either direction. And this is the same for what it is above 25,000 feet. It's more extreme weather and more extreme winds. So the idea that particles are going to rain down, for me, just does not make any sense. You are missing the jet stream. I'm sorry, but it's just like stuff like that. You just have to think. Say, yeah, actually, that kind of makes sense, but I just keep on hearing from people in the chemtrail community. Yeah, it rains down particles on people. Well, hold on a minute. What you're talking about chemtrails being sprayed. This is above 25,000 feet. It's hitting the jet stream. You don't know what it's doing, isn't it? Really. See the point I'm trying to come across. I'm not becoming a skeptic. I always believe in chemtrails for many, many years because here it is, a modelling being funded by our government, which is going to take place next year. So I'm not ruling out chemtrails, but I'm also not ruling out contrails as well, which is a very mixed bag, isn't it, when it comes to this conspiracy, because there's only one avenue. One, you stick down the chemtrail community, or one, you stick down the contrail, and I go between the two, which is very odd. You don't really find people like me. Our neighbour Pete, sometimes he listens to me when I do recordings outside because I can hear him on the gravel. So there we go. This is the trail analysis I've done for the day. This is just only one day out of 365 days of the year. So there are many days where persistent trails do last throughout the day, and those videos are to come. Also, this amazing harp cloud that I captured back in the summer. So all of that is to come. Please like and subscribe, and I shall see you very soon.